Hello children, welcome to 9th standard first language English class. In today's class, we will be learning the 5th lesson, a question of space. This lesson has been authored by Neera Kashyap. Now, before we look into the lesson, let us do a small activity to warm up our brains. Now, here is a list of professions which has been given, and you have a word search puzzle. Now, what is it that you have to do? Yes, you have to look for the words which are given as a clue here in this word puzzle. Quick, your time starts now.
Come on, let's solve this puzzle. Search for the first word, juggler. Yes, the next word is chauffeur. The third word, teacher. Doctor. Geologist. Photographer. Anthropologist. Musician. Look for artist. Stevedore. Auditor. And curator.
Yes, did you enjoy the puzzle? Okay, now is the time for us to learn about the author Neera Kashyap. Let's quickly watch a short video about the author.
Neera Kashyap started her working career as a journalist with the Hindustan Times. She went on to specialize in environment and health journalism as senior researcher with Center for Science and Environment. She was also an editor with Voluntary Health Association of India. Later, she specialized in social and health communications, chiefly in the fields of HIV or AIDS, reproductive health and poverty. Tapping her literary interests, she has published a book of stories for children, Daring to Dream. She has to her credit anthologies of prize-winning stories for Children's Book Trust. These stories reflect both the stress faced by children as well as magic realism, tapping deeper layers of the subconscious. She currently focuses on interpreting subtle meanings in Hindu and Buddhist scriptures and literatures for the modern readers.
Now, there are so many new words in this lesson. So, before we look into the lesson, we will have to learn these new words. In today's class, we will be doing a little different activity to learn the new words. Now, what is it? Now, I will be giving you a set of words with their meanings. What you must do is, you will have to look for sentences that have these new words in them from your textbook, and you will have to underline it. Are you ready to do, children? Okay. So, now before we do it, let's try to understand what are the new words and their meanings. Here comes the words. Pounded. Now, what does it mean? It means hit or throb. Cosmos. Here it means everything. The next word is daft. It means silly or foolish. Glee. It means happiness or delight. Junkies. Useless or unwanted. Weary. Tired or exhausted. Galvanizing. Provoking or stimulating. Scorn, contempt or disrespect. chaff. It means irritated or annoyed. Next word is dejection. What does it mean? Sadness or depression. Agitated, disturbed. Objectively means without prejudice or any bias. Refrain means avoid doing something or abstain from. The next word is hobnob. Hobnob means associate or go round with. The last word here is confrontation, which means disagreement. Now, remember children, you have to find the sentences which have these words in your textbook. Okay? Now, let's meet the characters that we come across in this lesson. Watch this video.
Let us meet Vikrant's family. Vikrant is the only son of a rich, influential and successful doctor parents. Currently, they are worried about the preparation their son is making for the medical entrance test a year and a half away. Vikrant is a student of class 11 whose life is now filled with studies and tuitions. There is no place for other interests. Vikrant's parents want him to become a doctor. They feel that class 11 is the launching year for class 12 and the forthcoming medical entrance test. However, his mother's harping and his father's constant quizzing makes his head spin under pressure. He is utterly agitated.
Now, here is another character. Meet Anuj. He is a journalist. He took up journalism initially, and then due to his interest in photography, he became a photojournalist. Now, he has a very friendly nature, which is why he becomes a friend to our hero in the lesson. And you know that he is not of the same age as Vikrant, but he is definitely older to Vikrant. Now, let's look at the lesson in a little different way today. We are not going to do the reading, but we will still learn and comprehend the aspects that are there in this lesson today. Now, let's see how Vikrant and Anuj met. They met on the jogging track. Both of them would go jogging every day to the same track, and that is where they met. And what happened? Once by chance they became friends. In the course of their discussion, Vikrant questioned Anuj about his profession. And when they were talking, Vikrant asks Anuj, "Did your parents force you to take up photography?" And that is when Anuj senses that yes, there is some kind of an amiss in Vikrant's life. He sensed that Vikrant had an interest in photography. And since he became a friend, what did Anuj do? He gave one of his old Kodak camera to Vikrant, and also he gave him some books on photography just to keep up his interest in photography. But what happened? Parents had watched Vikrant's new interest, and what happened was Vikrant's grades in the college started dropping because of his new interest. And obviously, this would have brought in more tension to the parents. Along with this, Vikrant also started skipping his group tuitions and the extra classes which were being taken in the college. So, Vikrant actually became the cause for his parents' tension. But then, he started going a little away from his parents. But what happened was, he started becoming close to Anuj because of some of the common features that both of them had. What was that? That was, he was very friendly, and to top it, both had a common interest, photography. If you still have not found out, when do you intend to enroll? Now, I want you to guess, children. The answer is already there, but since you have not read the text as it, now let's see who is telling these. Who do you think said this statement? Yes, it is Vikrant's father. What did the listener have to find out? Now, who is the listener here? Yes, it is Vikrant. Now, what did the listener have to find out? The father wanted Vikrant to find out the most suitable coaching center for him to get enrolled for class 12. Now, what is the tone of the speaker here? What do you think? Yes, he is obviously very angry because he is observing that Vikrant is developing new interests at this point of time when it is very crucial for him to enter into some serious profession. Now, let's see another sentence coming up here. Hey, what's up? You look grim. Now, who do you think said this statement? Yes, it is Anuj. Who do you think is grim here? Yes, who is grim? Who is saddened? It is obviously Vikrant. What does the speaker ask next? Yes, he asks if Vikrant is being pressurized by his parents. Yes, that is the question that Anuj asks Vikrant. Now, let's see how Anuj brings in his strategy to help Vikrant come out of this problem which most adolescents at this age face. Now, he gives him 3 steps. Now, let's look at what is the first step. Now, here is a conversation between Anuj and Vikrant. Read it along with me, children. Anuj, how do you react to pressure? Vikrant, oh, I explain, I argue, I snap. Sometimes I even walk out. It is even worse when I lose control. Anuj, have you observed how your body reacts then? Vikrant, my body? No, I haven't really observed. Anuj, Vikrant, if you want to get control over the situation, first observe your body's reaction, your posture, body temperature, muscular contractions, breathing, and even the taste in your mouth. Vikrant, how will that help? Anuj, it will help you see your reactions as if they were happening to someone else. You will distance yourself from your reactions. Distancing will first help you to see and then control your reactions. Vikrant, can we observe a body when we are happy, excited or adventurous too? Anuj, yes, why not? Actually, our range of expressions are limited. If we get familiar with all our full range, we will become aware of all our habitual expressions. Now, we see here that Anuj is actually teaching Vikrant to do self-observation. Now, please remember, children, this is very important. Now, what we need to do is introspection, which all of us need to do. It's not only Vikrant, but all of us need to do. Now, here he gives another step. Anuj, next step, practice those expressions when there are no feelings to be expressed. Vikrant, how? Anuj, suppose you get a free ticket to the US, how would you react? Vikrant, the US? Wow! Anuj, the opposite is also good. Vikrant, what is it? Anuj, the moment an active feeling comes which you think should be controlled, make a note of it and don't express it. Vikrant, oh, I shall try my best. Anuj has given the second step. So, in the first step he asked him to observe himself, and in the second step he is trying to either express what is not there, so that you imagine and express certain feelings, or at times when you really are expressing, try to control those expressions. Now, here is the third step. He says, let us see, the third step is a little difficult one. Anuj, the third step is a little difficult one. Vikrant, what is it? Anuj, it involves expressing an emotion opposite to that which you feel. Oh, can I do it? If you try, maybe, yes. Here you see that Anuj is actually telling him the third step, what he has to do. Once he gets control, once he is able to observe his expressions, he wants him to express the opposite of what he is actually feeling, which he says is a little difficult, and that which will come only with practice. Now, let us try to comprehend this lesson a little further and see what happens. What happens when Vikrant's self-observation starts happening. Now, when is the first instance when Vikrant does his self-observation? Vikrant's self-observation when he was talking to his father. So, this is probably the first instance when he starts observing himself. Now, what is it that he starts observing? What changes does he observe in his body? He observes that his mouth was dry and his head were tight at the temple region, and his body was slightly hunched. And then when his father really irritated him a little, what happened? A strong wave of heat passed through his body. So, these were some of the changes which Vikrant observed. So, this was the first instance of his self-observation. Now, there were certain changes in the attitude and behavior of Vikrant following Anuj's advice. Now, let us see what they were. Now, I have given this in the form of a flow chart, so that it will be easy for you to follow it. Vikrant begins self-observation. Now, once he starts his self-observation, what does he notice? He notices that there are certain bodily behavioral changes that is happening to him. When he starts putting what he has already learned from Anuj into practice, he realizes conflicts are not the solution. And he also realizes he is not averse to the idea of studying medicine. And what does he do? After his class 11, he finds a good coaching center and enrolls himself for medical entrance tests. Now, let us check our comprehension. Have we understood what we have learned till now? Vikrant started his self-observation when he was talking to Anuj or when he was in conversation with his father. Now, I suppose you already know the answer because you have seen it in one of the slides. What's the right answer? Yes, the right answer is when he was in conversation with his father. Anuj had turned a photojournalist because he had a passion for it. His parents forced him to take it up. Now, why do you think he took it up? Yes, because he himself liked it. He had a passion for it and not because his parents forced him into it. Here is a crucial question. The word space in the title refers to physical space or the space around us or the freedom to pursue one's interest. What do you think is the space required here? Yes, it's the freedom to pursue one's interest. Anuj gave the exercise of self-observation to Vikrant to help him respond rather than react. Keep him engaged in things other than studies. Now, what do you think is the right answer here? Yes, the right answer is Anuj wanted to help him respond rather than react. Now, what message do we get from the lesson? Yes, here is a message from the lesson. The message of the lesson is that self-observation leads to self-improvement and brings a positive change in our attitude and outlook. So, here we are talking of an intelligence which is present in all of us. What is it, intelligence? It is intrapersonal intelligence, which means all of us have the ability to go inward and then observe ourselves. Now, Anuj has two intelligences which are very prominent in the lesson. Since he is very friendly and he very easily became friends with Vikrant, a boy much younger to him, he also has the interpersonal relationship. He has the interpersonal and the intrapersonal ability or intelligence too. Now, here is an activity that is coming up for you. Drop the emotions in their respective bags. Here I have given you a list of emotions. Here there are two bags, one bag into which you have to put all pleasant emotions, and into the other you have to put the unpleasant emotions. Now, shall we do this activity together? Come on, let us do it. Joy. Yes, it is a pleasant emotion. Scorn. It is an unpleasant emotion. Dismay. Unpleasant emotion. Calm. Yes, obviously very pleasant emotion. Warmth. Yes, a pleasant emotion. Worry is an unpleasant emotion. Very good. We have now been able to identify some of these emotions. Let us move forward and see what we have to study in today's grammar aspect. Let us move to the next activity. What should you do here? Observe these and compare them. Now, we have come to the next concept, children. What is it? We are now comparing two things. What is this? Yes, I do not have to tell you, it is a dog. Now, here is a simple sentence. The dog is beautiful. So, here what is the adjective that has come up in this sentence? The word is beautiful. Now, let us see what this is. Yes, it is a very cute cat, right? Which is more beautiful? Tell me, the cat or the dog? The dog is not as beautiful as the cat. This is for me. So, I feel that the dog is not as beautiful as the cat. Now, see these two sentences, children. The dog is beautiful is a simple sentence which has beautiful as the adjective here. The same sentence can be rewritten without changing its meaning as the dog is not as beautiful as the cat. So, I want you to observe the structure in which here we have used it as dash as. So, this is what we will generally use when we are writing a sentence in the positive degree when we are talking of degrees of comparison. Now, observe these and compare them. The dog is not as beautiful as the cat. This was the sentence that I just now told you. Now, here is another sentence which also means the same, but is written a little differently. Now, let us see what it is. The cat is more beautiful than the dog. So, here in both the cases we are comparing, but in the first statement we are using the positive degree of the adjective, positive degree of comparison of the adjective, while in the second instance, in the second statement we are using the, yes, the clue is more beautiful than. So, we are using the comparative degree here. Now, let us learn about superlative degree. Now, look at this graphical representation of the buildings, high raised buildings of the world. Now, here is one of the tallest buildings of the world. Which is this, children? Now, here is a sentence about this building. Now, how do we describe it? Burj Khalifa is the tallest building in the world. So, here we have the structure, the tallest. So, remember this, children, that we use the tallest or the plus the superlative degree of the adjective when we are using it in a sentence. Now that we have seen the examples, let us quickly understand what is a comparative degree and when do we use it and what is a superlative degree. Now, in comparative degree, we generally use them only to compare two entities, just like how you saw the dog and the cat. Whereas, in the superlative degree, we use the superlative degree when there are three or more entities which have to be compared. let us follow these rules when we have to use them in sentence patterns. You can note it down, children. When we use the as dash as pattern, the ordinary form of the adjective or the adverb must be used. As you already saw, as beautiful as cold as high as. So, these are the forms we use in the positive degree. Now, coming to the comparative degree, the comparative form of the adjective or adverb must be used followed by than. For example, when we say the comparative form, if it is a monosyllable, the word is a monosyllable, we will generally add er form. Sometimes if it is not a monosyllabic word, we will generally add the word more. So, this is some of the ways in which we can identify the comparative degree form. So, higher, bigger, smaller, more beautiful. So, these are some of the words we can remember in order to remember the comparative degree. Now, coming to the third rule, what does it say? It says the superlative form of the adjective or the adverb takes the definite article the plus the superlative form of the adjective or adverb. So, that should be there in the sentence. Now, what do you mean by the superlative form? It means it is the est form. For example, fine, finest, fine, finest, big, biggest, small, smallest. Again the same rule applies. If it is a monosyllabic word, we add est. So, what do we add when it is not a monosyllabic word, or if it has more than one syllable? Generally we add the word most, just like how we saw here, most beautiful, most populous. So, these are some of the examples we can see. Now, let us quickly do an activity here. Let us see if we have understood this. Now, in this exercise, I am going to give you one or two kinds of exercises where we can use comparative degree. Now, what should you do? You have to simply choose the sentence with the error. Ready, children? Come on. The population of China is greater than that of India. Reread it. Yes. Shall we move to the next one? Our house is bigger than your house. Now, let us see which of these two is wrong. And you must also be able to identify why it is wrong. Yes, the first one is wrong. Why? Just now we have studied that the adjective or the adverb that is followed by than, how should it be? Since it is in the comparative degree, it should have the er form or the word more. Okay. Now, what is it? The population of China is greater than. It should have been greater than. So, which is a mistake here? The word great is the mistake. Now, let us see the correct one. Yes, this is the correct one. Our house is bigger. We have used it in the er form and we have also used the word than. So, this is the correct statement here. Now, here comes the home assignment, children. Each sentence below contains an error. Identify and correct the error and rewrite the sentences correctly. Now, here are the three sentences. You can refer back to these sentences on page 105, children. Now, here is an activity for a self-assessment, children. I am not going to give you the answer to these questions, neither do you have this in your textbook. But then, just to understand how well you have understood the various expressions which have been told in this lesson, I want you to do this activity and analyze for yourself how you have done this. Now, have a look at these pictures which have come up. Thank you, children. I hope you enjoyed this class. Bye.